Thank you, Habibi. So um, I have to say that it's something that I'm learning a lot on this topic, the here and now that I was told to speak about, and I pray that the Lord will speak to all of us and apply it. So we'll go through this, and by the way, there are some things that not necessarily everyone would agree over, but I want it's food for thoughts, and it's important for us to think about these things. What we're going to be discussing tonight. So reality is in life, as a human being, I'm in the present time. There is a past and there is a future, and the question is that where do I dwell? Like our body, our physical body is very clear where it's at. It's in the present. The big question is, where is my mind? And it's like your body is present today, right now, but the mind can be in the past and it can be in the future. And in the past, in the sense that someone could dwell and wallow in the past and not focusing on the current time, on the moment right now. Or someone could be focused totally on the future and afraid and not even able to enjoy or find rest in the now. So the two are extremes. You know, it's good to learn from your past. It's good to not to be fearful of the future, knowing that God is the same. He doesn't change. If he was with you in the past, he's with you now and he's with you in the future. So we'll talk a lot about this present, the here and now. In Ephesians 5:15, it says this: "See then that you walk circumspectly and not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time because the days are evil." Reality is that today is a day that counts. It counts part of your life. And I gotta say that I've realized that when the Lord blessed us with children, as parents, usually you're working all day and then you come home at night and you have the kids to take care of, and it becomes really monotonous, very hard during the week. And you always look forward to the weekend. I'm looking forward to the weekend. I can't wait till the weekend. But then it got to a point where it hit me. Well, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday and Friday is part of my life. And if I'm focusing only on waiting for the future and not enjoying the moment, being in the present time, that's part of my life. So life is time. And I have to say is that a lot of us, and society has a big influence on that as well, causes us to always look for the future. I'm going to be happy when I have this car, or when I'm married, I'm going to, I'm going to live in the now, versus actually living in the now. One of the things that I did with our girls, because growing up, my wife had to go back to work, see patients in the evenings. And I had the girls all, in the afternoon. And if we would stay home, it's like we would be like in a war zone with the girls. So one of the things that I learned is that, I'm going to enjoy Monday just as I enjoy Wednesday and Friday. And I figured like a task or something that I do with the girls every night of the week, where we would go to West Side Pavilion one night, Barnes and Noble. At that time, there was Barnes and Noble. There every night of the week, because it counted from our life. So redeeming the time, because time is against you. Time you cannot replace. Once the time passes, you can't replace it. So living in the now is very important. And one of the things is that how do we find rest in the now, in the moment, in the minute that I'm living in? St. Augustine says this: "Our heart is restless until it rests in you, O Lord." And problem is that sometimes trying to live in the now, we become very restless because we fill our hearts with things that is not suitable, or it's not fulfilling to us. And we're fighting to fulfill this rest, or in this gap in our heart, with things that does not fulfill us. So our heart is restless until it rests in you, Lord. And the question is that resting in this moment, and am I resting in God or resting in other things? So let's talk about reality in life. Human is in constant search of happiness. That's really human. Human is always seeking for the person's own happiness, whether it's by food or desires of entertainment, whatever it is. Humans are always constant search of happiness and fulfilling that the heart desire. Problem is that in today's world, in that work and in that search of fulfilling that heart desire and enjoying the now, today there is a huge decline in moments of contentment. We're living, even though we have a lot, we're living in a first world country and we're blessed with a lot. In spite of all that, sometimes you find that it's really hard to enjoy the moment, and there's not contentment. It doesn't matter what you have. It seems like there is always something better, and you're not enjoying the moment. And all the human is be looking for is only if I get that. If I have a bicycle, I'm looking for a motorcycle. If I have a motorcycle, I'm looking for a tiny car, and it keeps going. And it's never that, you know what, I'm going to enjoy the bicycle right now. I'm going to, be content with what I have. So even though we have a lot, there is a huge decline in moment of contentment, and being content and satisfied. That sometimes it becomes very hard living in a first world country, being satisfied and content with the now, versus I'm going to be happy if this happens. If I get the new phone, that's what's going to make me happy. If I'm get married, that's what's going to make me happy, versus being in and out and enjoying the day. We try to enjoy things for the sake of other things. In other words, say, I want to, why do I want to buy a new car versus fixing the current car? And the society we live in is that a lot of times I will buy the new car because it'll show a point. It'll show that I'm better than this person, or I'm better than other person. So I'm always I want to enjoy the thing for the sake of other things. Let's dress and look good so we can take a photo, so we can put it in Facebook. So it's always enjoying the thing for something else, versus instead of enjoying the thing for its own sake. It's an interesting concept because, sometimes we go through life, we do these things, but we don't look at it in that perspective. We enjoy things for the sake of other things. It's always other things. It's that I am doing this, so I will show off on Facebook, or I will show off in front of my friends, or to get that status, versus, you know what, I'm going to do this and I'm going to focus on enjoying that moment, enjoying whatever I'm going to be doing right now. Today, celebrating the moment is commercialized. And the reality is that we live in a society that wants everything to be monetized. If it's not profitable, and when you really think about it, enjoying the moment for the moment, not for something else, there's no profit, there's no gain for society, and ultimately society will kind of commercialize things. For instance, Christmas, the Feast of Nativity. It's important. Yeah, we should celebrate nativity for nativity, but now it became in a society commercialized that it's got to be monetized. Things, the world is pushing on us that we need to monetize us in everything. Christmas, it's all about now, I'm going to get a gift for this person, that person gives me a gift, and it becomes a celebration for something versus celebrating for itself. So today's celebrating the moment is commercialized, and we're left with means, but without enjoyable ends. I'm left with the gift, but then there was, to get to this, it wasn't enjoyable. It was like a lot of other headache, like for instance, there's a lot of, pressure on parents and pressure on people bringing, versus celebrating. So I'm just giving you these thoughts. I'm not saying there's wrong with gifts. I'm not saying any of that. But I'm just, one of the things that I learned is looking at it from perspective on how society is holding us back, and the things that society puts on us is holding us back from being in the moment. And here we're left with means, but without enjoyable ends. And that becomes a problem versus enjoying the now. So one of the things that we ought to be doing, we should find happiness and rest in the now. And it's important to be conscious of doing that, finding rest and happiness in the now, living in the moment, and not just living in the moment, but living in the moment content. I have enough. I am good. I am satisfied. And I'm not telling you not to be, focusing on the future, but not too bound with it that you're not living in the moment. So live in the moment with contentment. I'm sure Tony can talk to you about this. When you go to a third world country, you'll find that there are people that possess few things, very few things, but they're genuinely content. And I gotta tell you, I could explain it to you, but you will not understand it unless you actually really see it. When we go to these missionary trips in Kenya and Fiji, you'll find that people really don't have a lot, but they're really very content. On the other hand, you come to a first world country, such as what we live in, you find that people possess a lot. We have a lot in our hands. We live in luxury compared to a lot of people in the world. But then one of the things you find, there's always this urge that of not enough. I want more. I do have this, and versus enjoying and being content and fulfilled, this is the house, I'm content, I have enough, I will live in this home the rest of my life, and I'm, happy with it, and I'm fulfilled. But the problem is that in that society that we live in, even though we possess a lot, we always have that desire of want more. And that's because that's monetized. Now, when you want more, then a home is being sold, a new home is being sold. And it's very interesting that the society wants to monetize things and also wants you to always strive. I want something this. It's nothing wrong with want something better. But the problem comes is when are you losing the now, focusing on wanting to get that thing that is better, missing out on today and being in the moment and just worried about tomorrow, because to get these better things, to get the more, you end up having to work more, putting things more at risk. And then sometimes in the process of wanting more, some people lose what they have, like their family, or, a husband that wants to, or maybe a spouse that puts a pressure on a husband, or a husband putting on a wife that, hey, we need to live in this type of house like my uncle or like my cousin or so on. And doing so, that man or that woman that will end up putting maybe 12 hours, 13 hours a day and neglect his family, and ultimately in that journey or on that desire to gain that house and to want more, ends up losing his wife and his kids, and so on. So it's an interesting thing, this concept of living in the now, being content in the now. So, and what's the drive? When you really boils down, there is a desire in each one of us to show off. There is a desire in me that I want to be better than this person. If someone buys this purse, I need to get a better purse, or at least that purse, or this outfit, or that car. And the question comes is that, okay, why I need a new car? The car is supposed to get me from one place to another. Is it a car? And this is its purpose. Do I get a new car? Is it to show off that I am better than that person, or I am, or I'm making a statement in driving that type of car, or a specific home, or even how about marriage? Unfortunately, there are some people that I just want to get married because it's a status where I am married, or sometimes even some people make it a point to set some categories. She's got to be a very beautiful person with these things. And why? And when you really, really, really think about it, because I want to show off. I want to be better than this other person. And unfortunately, even sometimes having children, it's commoditized in the sense that, oh, well, I want to have children, and sometimes you can see it, hey, kids, dress up, we can take a photo, everything, and ultimately to show off. And I'm not saying this is rampant, but I'm just saying it's something. I just wanted you to think, why do I do what I do? Am I content with what I have? And if I actually do want to get a car, what is the goal? Am I enjoying the moment? Or am I just to show off? The reality is in this world that we live in, commoditization is very rampant, even in the sacred things, even in that marriage, even in that children. Things are commoditized these days very often. Like, for instance, wedding. A wedding becomes not a moment of celebrating for its own sake. But what happened is, wedding, that's how it ought to be. A wedding ought to be a moment where you're just celebrating a couple making a covenant with God and each other for life, and you're celebrating this love. Unfortunately, sometimes what ends up happening in that, so instead of celebrating that marriage, because the marriage in a simple way, society commoditizes it. All of a sudden, a wedding becomes about making a statement. There's gotta be that type of venue, that type of food, that type of way of dressing. And then it consumes the couple that one evening, the planning of that one evening ultimately consumes that relationship during the engagement period, that it hijacks engagement just for that wedding night. And these couple will wake up Monday morning and they think, what did I do to invest in that preparation for marriage? And we're always consumed for something else. So I don't want you to think that I'm saying, oh, we should not have celebrations in wedding. But I'm asking is that I want, one of the things that we're not being in the moment is because we're doing something for the sake of something else. It's marriage. Yeah, it's supposed to be for this, celebrating that moment. And the problem when it happens that we're doing it for something else, whether to show off or to show off that I'm better and make a statement, it becomes, I'm not celebrating it now. And then if everything is not going exactly how I told that wedding planner, all of a sudden I'm not living in the moment. I'm supposed to be enjoying this wedding, and now things are going, haywire. So it's just food for thoughts. It's food for thought. I mean, it's something to think. So reality is, society wants the now to be monetized. Everything, that in the now, it's monetized. That's what society wants. And it's accessorized. Everything, I need this to enjoy the now. And if I don't have this accessory, I cannot enjoy the now. I cannot be in that moment. And it becomes a problem. So society wants the now to be monetized. So if you think, why do I have so much and I'm still not living in the now? I just want more. It's because, unfortunately, this is how the culture that we live in. Things want to monetize, like even if YouTube channel want to be monetized, things like that. Simple celebration of the now is not profitable. And therefore, society puts these things on me to cause me not to celebrate the now. And it's important for me to be conscious of that. That, what? Yeah, society can put all these things, but I am in the moment. I will do the best. I will be content with what the Lord gave me right now. And yes, I can thrive for more, but I'm not allowing the thriving for more to consume me and take away from me that living in the moment. And the reality is, no one knows how today, tomorrow comes or not. So today we thrive on constantly desire new things instantly. And certainly Amazon is doing a great job in doing so. Very, and not only that, but I'm reading that Amazon is going into pharmaceutical that, and people are upset, oh, they're going to shut down the Rite Aids and all these. But the reality is that that's what's happening. And because we're allowing it in the sense that I want that instant gratification and I just want it now, because I think that when I get it right now, That's going to make me happier. That's going to make me live in the moment. Desire. So we're always in a constant desire of wanting new things and instantly. And it causes us to, it robs us from living in the now. Another thing that causes us, that steals the enjoyment and the living in the now with the Lord and with what the Lord blessed us, is we always strive to imitate others. We always want to imitate others. I see someone have something, even though a couple of seconds prior to that, I had no need of it, or sometimes I had not even known that it even existed. But the second that I saw that person has it, all of a sudden now, I need it now. And you know what? I am no longer happy. I'm not longer enjoying now until I actually get that. Imitating other becomes a big problem in not causing us to enjoy the now. And when we desire that new things, always this constant new thing desire and wanting to imitate others, this really results in inability to enjoy the now. Because in our mind, all of a sudden, I am lacking. And if I don't have this, I'm not happy. And you see that a lot in actually kids. But I got to say, even though we're older, we're inside where we feel the same way. Inability to enjoy the now, inability to find the rest right now. If I don't get this, I will not enjoy the now. I will not enjoy the rest. And we're always in that constant. And when you really boil down, what's the fuel? What's causing that desire of new things, the desire of imitating others, and the desire of not or not even able to enjoy the now? It's really, 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 when you look at that human nature, it's fueled by envy. That someone has something, I don't have it, I need to have it right now. And short of me having it, and it becomes sort of an envious. So in other words, one of the things that robs us from living in the now is that we're stoked by our envy desires of other things, of other people's possession or other people's lifestyle. And we're just stoked in that sense that and it's the culture stokes us that, if that someone has that possession or that lifestyle, I'm not happy. I am not living in the now. I am not resting in the now until I possess it or I lifestyle. Or if I see a famous person has something, all of a sudden, I want to be like that. And it becomes not enjoying the now. And if I cannot become like that person, like for instance, and this is something that you'll see in a society, whether it's a body feature or a gadget or an accessory, like for instance, like, a person has a specific type of lips and I want that type of lips. And all of a sudden, if I cannot have it, and of course, if I'm not going to become that person, what I end up doing is that I go buy it. If I cannot become famous like this person, if I cannot look like this person, if I will buy it. And that's one of the things that now for buying it, it consumes us and it kind of takes away from that enjoyment of the now. So we gain our subjective happiness by buying a lifestyle that we think that it's subjectively going to give us happiness. And we're living in a constant realm that I'm not content right now. I'm not happy right now because I need this, I need that, I need this. And unfortunately, society is really good at causing us to live in that. And it's important for us as a Christian to be as believers, we need to be conscious of that. So societies, when you really, it's interesting because I kind of read I spent the whole day reading about this. And when you boil down what's causing us not to enjoy the now or whatever, society's engine is resentment of neighbor. I see a neighbor driving something, how dare he has a better car than I am, I need to get that car. And it becomes a resentment in neighbor. And resentment leads to envy. Envy leads to hatred, and hatred leads to violence. And that's what you see when someone has something and is envious of someone else, someone will go out and steal it or whatever it is. And it might sound too radical, but I'm just want you to, it's important to see it and kind of like think, how am I doing in the now? What's causing me not to live in the now? What is it? Is it resentment from someone, or am I always in comparing people? And why do I want to do what I want to do? If I wanted to do this thing, am I doing it for the sake of it? or am I doing for the sake of something else? Like the other examples that I showed. And I have to tell you, one of the biggest stoking of envy today, social media, is the biggest weapon of envy. We're always comparing each other, we're comparing with each other, and all of a sudden I see someone is in this, and I think this is the normal lifestyle for them, not knowing that this person went out of their way to make that moment look as good as it is, to take that photo. And so the biggest weapon of envy today is that sometimes when we are comparing each other in social media, and all of a sudden I see this person that look happy, all of a sudden I'm not happy. I want to be as happy as that person, versus seeking that rest in the Lord. I'm seeking it in material. So in Ecclesiastic, he says this: he who observes the wind will not sow, and he who regards the clouds will not reap. This is an interesting verse that I came across today. Is that, in other words, sometimes we think that if I have this, and everything lines up, I'm going to be content and happy. And here it's saying that if the farmer goes out and he's waiting for everything to line up, the wind has to stop, the sun has to shine, and then rain will come, there will no reaping. If he's going to wait for everything to start doing something about it and to work, he's not going to get anything. It says that he who observes the wind will not sow. If you're focusing only on the wind, he's not ever going to go up, prepare the ground or so, because he's focusing on these other things. So it's good to get into the habit that, to kind of look at what you have right now. And really the question comes down, it's I need more versus I have enough. Do I need more versus I have enough? And when you look at church fathers or the church saints, you find that church saints completely detachment. And I'm not telling you to come be a monk or something. I'm just giving you an example. Complete detachment from the stuff in the world. These saints, they chose poverty. Instead of choosing wanting to be better than the other person, St. Anthony had it all. And he chose to detach himself from it. He chose poverty. They chose simplicity. They chose simplicity way of life. You find a saint that finds a palm tree, a source of water. They live there for years. They chose austerity. They chose austerity as a way of life. They renounced the things in the world. Even in the book of Acts, every time we celebrate the liturgy and we hear the book, do not love the things in the world or the things in the world. Lord, so it's important. So just a closing point, for us to live in the now and enjoy the now and be content with the now, with what the Lord gave us, it's going to require radical change. It will require radical change. It will require that we sometimes choose the life of simplicity. I am content. I am fully content with what the Lord blessed me. Being content is very important, and being satisfied with the Lord bless you. It's important to work hard, to thrive for more, but that's not the drive. It's not robbing me from the now, being content of what I have. One of the things that, in social media, when we compare, one of the things that you ought to change, seeing your ordinary family as extraordinary, your ordinary wife as extraordinary, seeing your ordinary children as extraordinary. In a sense, having that simple, that life of, what, I'm content with my spouse. Problem is that in this world today, even marriage are commoditized. And when you really think about it, when you look at it from, which is interesting that I kind of noticed today, from profitability perspective, a broken home, a divorced home, all of a sudden now that home is divided into two, there's more profit in it. And sometimes from that perspective, there is profit when there's that home is divided. Now all of a sudden, that home that was occupying one apartment, now they're taking two apartments, or one home, one house versus, I'm not going to allow the world to kind of tell me that, if your spouse doesn't do this, then, you should get rid of her and find another one. No, I'm going to look at my wife or my husband, that ordinary person, in my eyes as a child of the Lord and content, that spouse is extraordinary. That ordinary child that the Lord blessed me with, I am content with that child, and I will see him as extraordinary. And it's requiring that different perspective. And the whole idea now is entering into the rest together with your family right now, and not always focusing on the future. And enjoy the now for the sake of it, not for sake of something else. So I just wanted, this is I wanted to share. I learned a lot from it in preparing for this. And if you have any things, if anybody has anything to add, love to hear from you. And I think, is Abuna with us? I'm not sure. I don't see everybody, so I don't know.
Hi, Abuna. Hi, Abi. Kissing your hands,
Kissing
Abuna.
your hands, Abi, Father. How are you?
Good, good. That's a big
Salmi,
blessing,
Abi.
Abuna. That's big, wonderful, wonderful. It's God bless all your effort and preparation. It spoke to me in a lot of different points, and very, very practical, very applicable, and very much needed. Thank you so much, Abi.
Salmi, Abi. I don't know if someone wants to add something or sees this as a radical way of living, or I just want to get your feeling.
Thank you so much, Abuna. I don't think it was, I think one of the things that I'm taking back from this, or taking out of this, is that you posed a question, which was like, what is causing me not to live in the now and not to live in the moment? And I think it's like, well, as soon as you said it, I mean, and you mentioned, a few things. It's just, I don't think personally, I don't think I ever like sat with myself to think what is that thing that is causing me not to live in the moment, or not to live in the now. So I think it was just kind of like an eye opener, for me at least. I don't know how others feel, but I taking that question and kind of going with that, and putting that at the forefront. What is that? Pinpointing what that is. It's that's one of the things I'm taking away from this.
And I'll share something with you. One of the things that I learned that I'm taking away from this is that being in the present with the family. If I'm sitting down with the family, and I get a slew of texts, huge amount of texts and calls. And I learned is that if I am sitting with the family, I'm being in the family right now, I will choose not to carry the phone. I'm sitting in the now. I want to be in the now. I'm sitting with my family. I'm enjoying the now and not being distracted, being present at the moment, and not being distracted by a lot of other things, and being present in the moment. That's one of the things that that spoke to me, that I'm learning and I'm taking away from. I don't know if other has thoughts or ideas, because we can learn from each other as well.
Thank you so much, Abuna. The talk was amazing. I kind of have a little bit of a question, and maybe a simple answer. But how can you balance theoretically living in the now and then wanting to plan for the future, right? Like I could be wrong, but I'm guessing it's just about time allocation, but you don't necessarily always want to only think about today, because you know what I mean? Like, we always want to plan for an ultimate goal or anything like that. Where or how can we find that balance?
I think one of the things is being obsessed with the future, being obsessed with it. That's all, and I'm not going to be happy until that happens, that comes. Like when I was looking forward to that weekend, but then today is a day. It's good to plan. It's important to plan. You ought to plan. You ought to plan, and you submit that plan in the hands of God and say, Lord, this is what I would like, but let it be according to your will. It's important to plan, but I'm not obsessed, and it's not taking, it's taking my joy away from me right now. That because this is not fulfilled, I don't have my inner peace, and I'm not in the present moment, and I'm just like obsessed. It seems like I don't know if Abuna wants to add something on that.
No, Abby, Otsek nailed it. It's a fine line, of course. We all have to have some sort of goals, but I think Otsek said, like, just hyper focused, obsessed. I think that's what takes the joy out of the present. So I think that helps balance it. I think ultimately, like, coming at the end of the day and putting it in God's hands and saying, God, this is my plan and this is what I want to do, and leaving it in God's hand kind of prevents us from over obsessing or over controlling or trying to, really just like the wedding example that Otsek gave is ideal, because couples can really focus on that one day and then miss the whole journey of engagement. So a whole year passed and they haven't focused on the relationship, and they focused on that. Or say a career, like I spend like all this time working on this job, and then I forget my family and my marriage, and then I have nothing left. So I think, the balance is something that we probably have to keep in check on a daily basis, is what I would say. So plan and work hard. Like, you have to, if you want to advance, maybe going for a degree, but then what is the cost of that in terms of my immediate commitment and things like that, and how to balance all that. I think it's a constant thing. I love the example that Otsek gave about the phone. I have to work on that one. Like,
That's me.
yeah, me too.